In this video, we'll be reviewing how to solve real-world problems using angles of elevation. So an angle of elevation is the angle between the horizontal and the line of sight to an object when looking up. So basically, if you're standing somewhere, you're looking up at something in the sky or something higher than you, that forms an angle of elevation from the ground, or from your eyesight, to whatever it is you're looking at. And then your line of sight is that path that your eyes follow when looking at that object. The horizontal line would be how far away you are from that object horizontally. So when you're doing angle of elevation problems, you're going to draw a right triangle. I draw it flat, like the one you see here in this picture, and then your angle will be there on the right. So here, an example 1. It says, Lisa is standing at the bottom of a hill. The angle of elevation. So since I see angle of elevation, I'm going to draw my right triangle. And then it says the angle is 64 degrees. My angle goes on this side because it's going to be formed from the ground or the base to wherever they're looking up. So that's Lisa here, and the angle comes from her. Then it says the hill is 79 feet tall, so that would be the height of the hill. So since it's the height, that's the part that goes up and down here. So I would label this side 79 feet. And they want to know how long is the path up the hill. So this would be the top of the hill. And we basically want to know how far it would be for her to climb up that hill. So whatever you don't know, your unknown, that's where you put an X. So I would put an X here. Now that I have my picture set up, I'm ready to solve my problem. So I'm going to label my sides. So my hypotenuse, this is my angle. So this would be opposite the angle. This would be adjacent. I'm going to cross off the adjacent side because it's blank. So I'm left with O and H. So I need to decide between SOH, CAH, or TOA. Well, O and H come out in SOH. So I'm going to use SOH. So I'm going to write down sine. My angle here is 64 degrees equals. And then we put O on top, H on the bottom. So it's going to be 79 on top and X on the bottom. Remember, if X is on the denominator or on the bottom, you're going to end up dividing. So we're going to end up doing 79 divided by sine 64 since X was on the bottom. And then you can do this on our calculator.net to get our answer. So I'm going to go to calculator.net and plug in 79 over sine 64. So here it comes out to about 87.9 if I'm rounding to the nearest tenth. And since this is a real-world problem, we want to include units. If you look at the picture, X is that path up the hill, so our units would be feet. So for her to climb up the hill, she would have to climb 87.9 feet. We look at our next question. It says a deer is standing 42 feet from the base of a 75-foot tree. What is the angle of elevation from her to a squirrel sitting on top of the tree? So again, this is an angle of elevation problem. So I'm going to set up my triangle. And my angle goes on the bottom. Here they didn't know the angle. They're asking what is the angle. Since that's our unknown, since we don't know it, we're going to put an X for our angle because that's what we're going to solve for this time. And now it says a deer is standing 42 feet from the base of a 75-foot tall tree. So the deer would be down here. And it says they're standing 42 feet from the base of a tree. So if our tree is on this side and the squirrel is sitting on top of the tree, The deer is 42 feet from the base, and it says the tree is 75 feet tall. So that 75 feet would be the height. So that goes on the vertical, the up and down, the base is the horizontal. And now we have our triangle set up, we can figure out that angle of elevation. So I'm going to label my sides, my hypotenuse. This is my angle, so 75 would be opposite, 42 would be adjacent. For this problem, we're not going to need the hypotenuse. We only have O and A. So if we're deciding between SOH, CAH, and TOA, TOA has O and A. So I'm going to put tan. Our angle here is x degrees. Our O was 75 and our A was 42. This one, we're solving for a missing angle. So when you're solving for a missing angle, remember to get x by itself, you need to do the opposite or inverse of the angle. So I moved tan to the other side and I put -1. And in parentheses, I put 75 over 42. I'm going to go to my calculator.net to plug this in. So tan -1, 75 over 42. And this comes out to about 60.8. I'm rounding up. So 60.8 for my angle. Since it is an angle, we would say it's 60.8 degrees. So the angle from where the deer is at looking up to the squirrel is about 60.8 degrees. So angle of elevations are fairly simple, but you do have to read and really understand what you're reading so you know where things go. If it's angle of elevation, you draw your right triangle. Your angle is going to be the one that's on the bottom. And then if they give you the angle, put it in. If not, you put an X for the angle. Usually if they give you a height, that's the part of the triangle that goes up and down. If they're telling you something's away from the base, that's your horizontal, the part that goes from left to right. If they want to know how far it is going, like from where you're looking up to that thing, that would be your diagonal.